All right, for all those that so choose, would you please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll call the meeting to order with everyone present. State Road Superintendent, set up a public hearing for Horn Hollow Road vacation.
I put that on the agenda because I didn't know if the paperwork would be ready, and as far as I know, it's not ready.
Okay.
Yeah, right now it's not. Mike's been gone. Mike's on vacation right now. He's gone Thursday, Friday, and today.
Okay.
I think he has most of it, but it's not complete as of right now. So.
So we'll just probably put it on again next week.
All right.
And I'll talk to Mike to make sure that he's ready, I guess.
What do you have for other road matters, Jeff?
Bridge 26. Seated on Monday, we got that done. The only thing left there is the power company has to come in and hook up power lines. But the road is open right now. The contractor still has to come and get the road closed. The road closed signs are still up. Official right now, but the locals are driving across and anybody can drive across it. It's just, we gotta get the signage. Brennan's got hold of them, just a matter of them coming to pick them up. So, but everything else, was done on there. Irving's got done resurfacing last Friday. And they came back to Conover and they went from W14 to Conover. So that's when we quit, because we're still. So we got from basically Conover 52 left. That's what we have for ditching and hauling dirt out of there. So when we get done with that, we'll probably haul the rest of that rock ourselves, or I could call Ruben. I mean, it's not, it'd be like a mile or whatever. It's not that much left there. So, but on that, and the deadline was on Friday to have it all done. So, and I'm not going to penalize them for that Conover because we're doing the work there. So, but they're still plugging away on that. We didn't haul on Friday. We got that little bit of moisture and we were kind of short-handed anyway. So we had blades out for the little moisture we did get. They're out today. Some of them are, but we didn't get a lot of moisture again. They kind of
Just yellow road, it's dry.
It seems like it heads all south on us.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's not, yes, that's the way it goes with the weatherman. 3. He is on the agenda to come next week at 9:30. I got hold of him and he got in touch with me and he will be here. So I think he's on for 15 minutes, I believe, from 9:30 to 9:15, because I think there's a public hearing on, I believe, Tony had told me at 10 o'clock, I believe. So I'll be on after him. So just to give you a heads up that he will be coming and trying to figure out what you guys want to do out there. The maintenance worker 1 deadline is today at 4 o'clock. And that's for the position in Fort Atkinson for the truck driver. Right now, I have 2 people interested in it. I guess my question to you guys is, what do you want me to appoint someone?
Is that an internal transfer?
Yeah, it's not a promotion, it's just internal, so somebody from within, but it's not a management position. So I guess my question is, can I appoint someone or do I need to wait till next Monday? I guess that's the question to you.
Does that go by seniority? Like if several people wanted that?
Yeah, seniority will play a part in it, yes.
Unless
So,
you want to give me a call tomorrow and I can talk it over with you too.
yeah, because like I said,
Board doesn't usually act on the, like, act on the internal transfers, so.
okay,
So when you guys, you wanna move, then I think you just move and you proceed to the next.
So we better keep
Next.
that going.
Yeah.
Because that way again and again.
right,
till-
because it will happen again, I'm sure. So that way, if I have to wait another week,
Right.
I mean, it just prolongs it that much more.
Are both of the applicants?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I trust your opinion on that, you know, your crew.
I can give you a call,
Yeah,
like I said, tomorrow, I'll let you know.
Or chat after the meeting even.
when we did the other interview, after we got done with the interviews, Jeff and I kind of spoke about maybe some possible transfers within,
Right.
but you never know who's gonna apply.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, right now I have two, I don't know if I'll get any more,
Mhm.
possibly one more, but I guess time will tell. Question, for a tractor, we have this, that road clearing fund. There's like
113,000 is what you budgeted. You haven't spent hardly any. You did authorize the payment for that conference out of that money, but
so my question is, I don't know what you guys feel
that's,
moving forward.
that's in the rural fund. It's not in the road fund.
Right.
Yeah, separate from the road.
Yes.
But it can only be used for road clearing stuff. Yeah.
I don't know what you think on as far as what to do with the tractor, if a person should did that, we would replace the chorus. That's a 98, I think with, I don't know, it's like $9,600, I think, on it.
I would say, go ahead and do that, because otherwise we're gonna get behind on them and we'll.
And that's the oldest one. The other ones are actually, we're in pretty decent shape as far as the other one would be in Fort, but that one's not as old. The other ones are fairly new, but I just thought if that money is in there, that'd be a way to use them funds. The tractor that we did get last year, tractor was 82,000. That was John Deere. And then the side mower was 29.
Is the one you want to retire, Jeff, a four-wheel or two-wheel?
Two-wheel drive. Yeah.
You can look for a four-wheel that, then we get off on some of the slopes.
I was just gonna do two-wheel. That's what we've been buying is just two-wheel drive, because bad thing is if we get back into the four-wheel drive, some guys kind of like to probably mow more than as far as trees, and it gets, the repair bill gets to be, quite costly. The mechanics kind of frown when it comes to the shop, and
I'd be interested in pricing them both,
I mean, we could.
just to see what the difference
Yes.
is. And like you said, it's not that every department needs a four-wheel drive one, but if we have one within the county where we would have to move it in order to do a job, we'd at least have that possibility.
Would you trade the other one in, is that how that works? Or would you sell it?
I would sell it, yes.
What would that be worth? You get what, 18, 19 out of them?
Yeah, it varies. We've been taking them to Sweeney's and they bring decent money. That one we brought that time was really rough and we couldn't believe how much it brought. I mean, it was tired, but it has side more and I don't know who bought it, but farmers, I think, like it because they can mow their waterways or whatever. And I mean, it wouldn't get used as much, but we usually have pretty good luck, right? Selling two Sweeney's. So,
Like I heard to get quotes of them.
right.
You ain't gonna give you enough for a trade deal.
Probably not,
You're gonna buy it,
no,
you're gonna buy it cheaper outright.
yeah.
That could be the difference between two-wheel and four-wheel, and what we did for them.
I did send out quotes for the maintainer. Them are due September 1st. Talked to both of the salesmen last week. And gave them the specs that we had from the previous one, so we would get them on Friday, and then I'll bring them to you guys on the Monday. And what we generally just kind of look them over and usually wait probably a week just to kind of bring it back to the mechanics too and kind of have a discussion about them. But them are due the 1st.
And actually that next week is Labor Day, so the meeting will be on Tuesday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's right.
I know it's after me, but the discussion on Happy Hollow. As far as, not sure what you are gonna decide on that. For the snowmobiles, it's not gated, so I mean, they can get around, there's permanent barricades on both ends. Them abutments. They're just a stone abutment. I guess. As far as decision, I know Dan is after me, but if, something like that might have to wait till we get an interim possibly to have him make that decision too, I guess. I don't know.
It's a Class C gated.
Well, we had a bridge there and we closed it. We took the bridge out, but the old abutments are there. Basically, it has the permanent barricades on both ends.
So that's an actually Class C, is it? I don't remember.
No. So we just.
Both dead end roads.
So basically, they can get around it to go down through there, with the snowmobile. So the only thing would be if you want anything put on the abutments, or I think what they've done in the past is built a ramp or a little bridge off the bank. But I just wanted to bring that up as far as.
Would that need DNR approval?
Yeah, the president of the club will be here.
Yes.
So Tim, he's back here now. If you want to move this up and we'll get him engaged with this also. So we can,
Yeah, I think,
we wait till 10 o'clock.
yeah, we'll just discuss it today. There won't be any action on it here, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Would they need DNR approval to do something? If they're putting it in a bank?
I guess I don't know. I don't really know. I wouldn't think so, but I guess I can't answer that.
That would be up to them.
I think we already have an approval from the state for insurance and everything.
We'll have to wait till 10, Dan.
Okay. No problem.
Other than that, I don't have really a whole lot. The only, if you get any calls from public, please direct them back to us. Or I mean, if somebody wants something as far as a permit, or doing some work in the right of way, make sure, let me, myself or the office know, just so we get the proper paperwork, because that way everything is documented that we went out and looked at it. I mean, any work, driveways, brush, or that way everybody kind of knows what's going on, or so we know, so we can make sure the proper people take a look at it. So, other than that, I don't have a whole lot.
That bridge 317A, what are we gonna? That's that 3-ton
Which one is that?
down River Road there.
Oh, right off of River Road down Canoe. I have not heard, well, that was kind of talked about, but we were gonna try to do some repairs. Isaac was kind of working on that, so I would probably talk to Matt.
Yeah, I talked to him today, and he was waiting till Mike come back, see if he had any.
Because that last is talk about doing some work just to It says
They can get it up to 9 tonnages so that
what it was before,
Yeah.
because right now, I think it's 3. They won't even be able to
take a grass.
anything out for LP for winter. So we might have to try to get, I don't know what the repairs were, if it's something that we could repair. I know the contractors, I think they possibly would be available also, I think this fall, because
Sounds like they're getting caught up.
yeah, and they didn't have many rain days, so I think they possibly would be looking for a little bit of work if it was something outside of what we can do. So that would be a possibility. But if Mike comes back tomorrow, I'll talk to him on that, and then actually,
Another thing was, I mean, Efra moves his tank, say 40 feet from the bridge and his back truck up to the bridge, take
that was the other thing, if the bridge, if we couldn't get there or couldn't be fixed, we would possibly look into setting that, or paying to have the tanks that over there, so we can back up to it. Just a temporary thing for the time being. I guess we'll have to look at that and see if we can get someone in for the repairs, if we can do it, or a contractor. And if they can't, that's probably option C, would be to try and move that. I wouldn't think, the homeowner would have an issue with it,
Cause like he measured up like roughly 500 feet of line to
yeah,
get to the house and the shop.
It's only rated at 3 ton right now.
yeah, it was 9, it goes into a private entrance.
Yeah.
Can't get across it with much.
No,
No,
I mean, basically a pickup is about it.
Not fully loaded.
Yeah, and some pickups are more than that.
yeah, so that's what it is. I said I'd bring it up, see if we get.
Okay,
we'll do a little
I
something.
think that bridge was the one, that cement bridge in Canoe, that was there.
Yeah, there was, come from Canoe.
So that had been there for a long time. So it's old.
Can you hear us okay out there? Yeah, okay.
okay, yeah, I don't have anything else. So you guys have something else for me? Hopefully the dirt. Couple more weeks. Hoping we can be done for there, really. I hope.
It'd be nice when,
So
it's damn nice.
we're just about to, we're just south of town line. And when you turn the corner and go west, that lot of that stretch, not a lot, but some of it is filled in. And then we gotta do a little ditch work actually on W14 there, we can get some material. So,
Looks like about 2.5 miles left.
yeah,
So we'll probably end up a little short on the fill.
that'd be my guess.
Well, just if we only got a mile road left to do and we got 2.5. But dump it along.
That hopefully, we can look at them spots and try to get something in the worst areas, as long as I got a bunch of pipe work we need to get at too with the rubber tire, machine. Got a couple shops, we haven't been there yet, because we wanted to get this all done, and so we're running a little behind on that, but, trying to get it worked in here, so. But, yeah, other than that, that's all I got, so. Okay,
Thank you, Jeff.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
What do we all have for consent agenda?
Got the minutes and the claims.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
And second that,
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Committee reports.
I think it's a signature one going around.
Yeah, got it.
The Historic Preservation had a very nice turnout on Saturday for the presentation on the mill project that they did. They just the day before received the publication that they had available or they had made. And so that that booklet is now available and will be in some of the Chamber of Commerce and a couple of bookstores and beauty clocks in different places. And probably between 50 and 60 people came for the presentation of the mill sites. They did a lot of work with that, and it'll be repeated when they have a conference here in October, I think the 20th. But it was well received, very well done. The detail of it is, I mean, it generated about 1,000 pages of data. So it's very extensive. They identified 120 mills. They followed up on where they could find remnants and evidence on 71 of them. And they're listed in there. It's a very nice publication. They've done a lot of hard work on it. Very nice to maintain that aspect of our history. The little budget that we give them, they do a lot of work.
They do.
Towers, they got two of them are done. Gilmer, they got a little snag at Osh in there, but they're getting that.
They moved back in on Friday afternoon, so they haven't moved any dirt yet.
The first 900,000 payments in the.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Small.
They kind of unexpectedly, when they started digging, unearthed, part of the old city dome. Kind of odd. That's where we're building the tower.
So
Now they're gonna make arrangements.
take a few
What they take out goes to the landfill.
fill and then bring some rock back in. Yeah, so otherwise they'd have been all done this Wednesday, it'd have been the last four and they'd have been. Well, it takes.
Oshing
Yeah,
site,
it
yeah.
takes 28 days to cure and putting the towers up, so. But the one up there, that'll be going on 2 weeks, so this year will be. That was the only snag they had in the whole deal, so that ain't bad for $40.
I walked over to take a look and there's an old Pepsi bottle there. Chip, cracked or anything yet from 1956. So some of that stuff's been in there for a while.
Probably pretty well settled.
It should be.
So yeah, if you do that, just get it, hopefully. Poured by the end of this week or first of next week, it'll be all done for and then. Then wait, start 28 days to cure and. Start putting towers up.
You said on that site, it takes 50 yards of concrete.
Yeah. Yep. That's one of the least, like the others were up towards 70 yards. Yeah, that was the only plus. They didn't have to go, because that tower ain't quite as tall as the rest of them, so they need to be quite as many yards of cement. It goes from 50 to 75, I think is the max for that height of that tower, the max you can go with.
Wow, cement.
Yeah.
But the elevation is so high at that point, that's why
Yeah.
they don't need the tower height.
Not a committee report, but update on the landscape plan. Checking into that. And I know John's been working with Drew Stevenson about the health of the trees and longevity. And I think we're actually treating a couple of the ash trees. So they may be able to live longer. These two, not. With that.
Yeah.
I've had, I suppose half a dozen people have responded to it being out there. One person had evidently been brought to the courthouse before. There was a plan in the 1930s, a landscaping plan for the courthouse. So maybe that would be a good starting point to go back and revisit that. Give you copies of what that actually looked like. It was done, the American Legion's had it done, so. Thank you. I'll put these over if the public wants to look at those too. Here's a larger version of it because the print is a little bit small on there, so. People have suggested, using more native trees than what might be on this plan. Some people wanted to have talked about what's the long-term maintenance plan with if you put in shrubs and other plantings. So lots of different discussions about that, but like I said, I think we're doing a good job of looking at the trees and their health. I think before people start putting down trees randomly, it would be nice to have them plan in place. So I might actually get a group of people together that have expressed interest and just have kind of an open forum on people's ideas and invite everybody in to talk about that. Maybe even the Historical Society would want to get involved with that too. I don't know. It's interesting how much interest there is in it at this point in time. And I don't think anyone wants us to start cutting down trees. It's just as they become damaged and need to be replaced, if there's a plan in place.
And I,
The type of tree that should probably be built there rather than just randomly.
I
Oh,
think
they had like
diversity-
the willow tree, let's put a willow tree.
diversity will be the main issue, so
Yeah.
we don't lose a bunch of them with
Yeah,
one
so-
disease that comes
I
through.
don't think we want even trees.
So, I worked in a place where one time somebody pulled up and planted a tree in memory of their son right out in the middle of the lawn. It's like, who put that tree there? So that's how those things happen if you don't have a plan in place, so.
Yeah, remember there's a historic commission, county historic commission, which is under our authority, and then the historic society is a membership.
So I think getting them involved too, and just have lots of people talk about different things in our long-term goal with that. I don't know that it necessarily involves us putting out a lot of money. I know John does have some money probably set aside for that. Likewise, I noticed one of the oak trees down at the Smith building is not doing well. And maybe that's because of the
Disease.
after the storm and the oak wilt did get into it, but those trees can be treated. And it's typically cheaper to treat a tree than to take it down. Because that treatment does last 2 to 3 years when they do it for time. So maybe that would be part of a broader plan of the health of the Smith building trees too.
John said he's had a boiler motor that he had replaced down below here before winter. Those are expensive, it's about $2,000 for the motor. So don't be surprised when you see it coming through. And then we'll probably meet with a broker up here on the roof next week. Or even later this week if possible. For that, when John would like to see us go to a scupper on the outside instead of that drain inside. And get rid of that penetration, which would be a good thing.
Yes.
Anything else?
We get a report on Monday from John Lukey on the update for the IT equipment. Where are we at on that?
The first bill is in here.
He
So
said,
they bill us when they order the equipment. It was in the agreement that we pay 2/3 of it or something to upfront. And so they got the equipment ordered.
Great.
We're paying the 2/3. So
he did say that we've been assigned a project manager, so it's not the person that met with us or that did the site evaluation, but we've been assigned a project manager and several other people for this particular project.
Great.
it's turning into a full-blown operation, which is good.
He was out helping the landfill, but it's say Wednesday night till like 10 o'clock, helping them figure out their IT stuff. So if you're on, John, thank you for that extra time.
All right, 10 o'clock. Next on the agenda, Dan Bohr, Trailtwisters president. Use of Happy Hollow Road. What do you got for us, Dan?
Well, I've been struggling for years down through that bottom and got in trouble with the DNR because I put culverts in one year and had to take them out. And I put the boards across and they wash away. And that bridge abutment's perfect for years. I've watched and I just would like to use it. I just trying to make it easier for me, leave it permanent. So it's there and everybody can use it. They can walk across, they can snowmobile, UTV, whatever. I'm just trying to make it usable and we're gonna supply it. I was looking at putting a semi-trailer in there and have it put a pole on each side of it in case something comes down the creek if the water gets that high to hold it in place. But I plan on putting it 2 foot higher than what it is already. I got, I'm gonna put 2 by 2 by 4 foot concrete blocks side by side and then set the semi-trailer on top of that. So you have the elevation is higher and then make approaches to that. And from where that sets, the water would go back to the south side anyway, if it ever got that high. I'm just trying to put a permanent site in there because sick of building bridges every year and chasing.
Would that have railings on it, Dan?
They would have full sides. So you enter, you exit, there's no way. It's gonna have a roof over it. No.
It's semi-trailer. 53 foot semi-trailer.
Yeah.
I'd rather have an engineer's opinion on this.
Mhm.
It's county land,
And if,
county liability.
Yeah.
We need-
Well, our insurance,
We already got insurance certificates from, that's what, when Andy Vandermotten, we talked with Andy about it. He said, no, he is insurance. So Dan,
I still want an engineer's, because none of us are engineers, and neither are you.
I understand.
think about, we went out and visited that site out there with
Yeah.
Dan, and those abutments have been there for maybe stone, probably 100 years,
Yeah,
basically in pretty good shape. And what Dan's proposing is back from that, setting these these concrete piers
mhm,
that are sitting back behind. The bridge spans over both on both sides, back from it on the solid embankment. Water's never come up that high on it before. And that whole
When the
thing
water comes up, it goes over the road on the east
Yes.
side.
yeah,
has been
south and east, yeah,
and we've got, and they are barricading it so nothing larger than those types of vehicles.
right,
And if that trailer will support 40 to 45,000 in load capacity
yeah,
is what I looked at when I looked at it.
and you're looking at thousand pounds.
If you filled it with UTVs, you couldn't even come
Close
to
to
half of that.
Yes,
weight.
yeah.
So it's not
Mhm.
a structural thing on the bridge that goes across there, because they're designed to span,
The whole length,
40,
yeah,
46, maybe 46 or 48 feet.
yes, so
what's the length of the
43 feet,
43?
yeah, that's there. That would be longer
Yeah.
past the bridge abutment itself. If I have to, I'll find a longer trailer if I need.
Well,
to.
this way, what you're doing is you're setting it on the abutments to the,
Yes, yes,
Well, previously, the other thing that you were doing was down in the stream bed.
Yes.
That was the problem. So this gets it up above. Nothing going on there.
This
Right.
is just for, automobiles, it
pretty much snowmobiles or UTVs,
includes both.
yeah.
I want an engineer opinion.
No,
And it says medical expenses are excluded on this policy.
usually everybody that has this vehicle has insurance, don't they?
I want to make damn sure we're covered as a county before we do any of this.
So people would be free to walk across it.
Yes, yes,
Or bike.
yeah, bicycle, whatever, yeah.
But right now, how far does this circumvent get around where they can't get across there now?
To get around,
If you go with the bridge, that eliminates, how much driving do you have to do on the hard roads?
if you had to drive around that, 5 miles.
Yeah.
5 or 6, at
Makes
least,
it a safer route,
yeah.
keeping them off the public roads is what it amounts to.
This is what creek or what bed are we talking about here?
It is called 10 Mile Creek.
That's what I thought.
Mhm, yeah.
Best of one, yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up on that road.
Yeah.
Were you one of those that went down there and partied down to where the barricades are when you were young?
No?
But I did fish off the bridge when I was young.
Yeah.
That is a tough thing, trying to put a bridge crossing in
Mhm.
snowmobiles, because it doesn't take much water in the spring either. On a slight melt,
Yeah.
there it
And
goes.
I put cables on and I've come down there. There's my piece of log this long with the cable around it and the rest is gone. You know? So
It can be fairly frustrating.
very, so.
You aren't
that's one
using
thing.
this, you aren't using the brick abutments that are there. You're
No,
just using
no. The bank for
the bank for
The
it.
bank on both sides.
He ain't using the abutments.
Yeah,
And there's one area right there that you talked about putting riprap, which is,
right.
that's just an extra protection.
Yeah, put a little riprap on the one side there just in case, you know,
Yeah.
but
But nothing has changed. How long have you been going that direction?
no, at least 15 years.
And nothing has
Nothing's
changed.
changed. No.
I think the bridge was taken out of service because of the buttons that are back. The bridge got.
And the 2008 flood, it was closed. It's 3 ton before that, as long as I remember.
Yeah, it was just a small bridge.
Yeah, and then it was closed after the 2008 flood, and then moved the bridge itself is out on the bike trail.
Mhm.
If you're on the Middle Calmer Road, where the bike trail goes under the road, you can see the bridge off to the southeast there. Let's see it on the bike trail over there. That is an A.
A-frame one, yeah. So,
So yeah, you're basically not using any of the cement abutments or running the rock abutments that are there.
No.
The bank. Back to that, abutments is what you're using. So nothing to do with the abutments.
And Andy was okay with the certificate of liability?
Yep, he said that's because it's a state, you're affiliated with, as a state organization.
yes,
And so the insurance comes from that relationship.
yeah, it's a state, yeah.
And it's a state organization, basically.
So,
Anyone else, any other questions for Dan?
Double check with Andy if
That's,
but
He's
then,
on later here.
yeah,
Yeah, just check with him on it and see if we're
got
clean
everything.
for liability and,
That's a good recreation addition to the county.
yeah.
yeah,
And it keeps them off the main road, so it's a lot safer for,
I was worried there was a gate there at
no, there
the
isn't.
top of the north end, so that's why I was worried how they were gonna get through there, because that road, there's no
Right.
ditch there.
right.
It's just a closed bridge.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I thought it was, at one time I thought they had closed it up up by McConnell's there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But it isn't actually closed, and they don't think they plow that hill in the winter though.
No.
No.
Which actually works better. for
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know the maintainer operator, he stops at, I can't remember the guy's driveway on top of the hill next to the folks. He stops there, so
It's
yeah,
driveway.
so we pull out from Lukey's and go down the gravel. He,
Yeah, winter time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Will those,
yeah.
will the blocks you're putting in require some sort of footing underneath?
No, that, well, if you got your ground there, that's pretty, I mean, it's permanent already.
Yeah. I mean, it's a road.
It's a lean base,
It's a space there. It just,
just needs to be straight enough so you can set them low. So,
Yeah.
So you're setting it up higher, so
Yeah.
and then ramping up to it, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna be other vehicles. You could
No.
possibly get any other kind of vehicle in there.
no.
no.
So which engineer do we have go in and look at this?
You could have Nick, or you could
I think we need somebody to sign off.
approve that contract.
And
While we're talking about ATVs, UTVs and snowmobiles, I just want to ask you to remind all of your users to stay out of the stream beds. We had some problems in
yeah.
the Turkey River. They were just busting it all up and that messes with habitat in a big way for trout fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what.
Spread the word.
This is what this is about, to keep out of the creek. You know,
Yeah.
both.
Because that's what usually
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah,
Just keep reminding them, because they'll be turned into DNR
yeah,
a minute.
for sure. Anything else?
Well, I don't think so, Dan.
Proposal, I think.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's Andy.
Hey, Andy. You're a little ahead, but
Big five.
we don't penalize you for being early.
Nice, Jeff.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Good.
This is, no, this was the, one year we looked at. Oh, right. She said there was this minimal changes to it.
Yeah, but that who's formatting. Yes, there's sections.
Again, struggle in the organization and lost the position.
No, this is, it's gonna be tough there. Especially somebody with some experience. So, yeah. Can't put the signatures and how to count in history.
Oh,
Your Dan can get a sign.
Okay, that sounds good.
So it's pretty much, I think we have the reason in there. So, yeah, we all the same, but we future, it's handy.
Yeah.
Oh, do that. That was just copy for.
I'll take one.
We got
I'll take
the
one.
electronic version.
This is well, Trailtwisters, their machines.
That was that liability we talked about, and when we visited the other day. Rest.
Your other project.
For my wife.
Must have stuck with the other ones, huh? See,
Do what?
must have stuck in with the other ones.
Yeah, about the printer, Yeah, I've got a set of kids finished building.
You may give their insurance agency a call. There's a coordinator that we may need on this. You guys have certain exemptions as municipalities, and counties. And, we don't want to lose those exemptions by having assumed coverage. So there's a rider that I've seen that we could put with this that basically says this coverage applies when the humanity does not apply. So I'll try to get that out and see if we can get West Bend to add that.
Good.
Do we need any other harmless agreement or any other agreement with them? Or do we just Except insurance, because I mean, the insurance doesn't say for what bridge doesn't, or specifically, or what.
It's just general liability,
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah, we can draft an agreement with the organization. The reality is you're gonna rely on the insurance.
Would that require?
Oh, it's 10:15. Andy Van Maten, County Attorney. We're just discussing a little bit of the Trailtwisters request here.
Yeah, what I was saying was, I think there's a writer we may want to approach them with to see if we can put that on. Ben had asked about a hold harmless indemnification agreement. We can certainly prepare one. But I think the reality is you're relying on the insurance. I don't know that that organization has a number of assets that are going to protect you beyond. the liability. So,
We don't need to do one, I just didn't know if we needed one or not, so.
I think we should pursue, the indemnification agreement. It's nice to have it. It may make you feel good, but it's not gonna protect you. So let me give that a little thought.
Okay.
If they're willing to sign it, that, that'll help, but it's, your risk is that somebody's in an accident who isn't a member of the organization, isn't a party to any of the agreements, and, what's the value of it at that point? It's kind of like trying to have somebody sign a release. It's not gonna give you a whole lot, so I'll take a look at it. Well, like I said, I'll probably contact the insurance agency directly with the issue on the rider, and I'll get back to you on the whole harness.
Because I think the request would be a benefit for the club and for the county. Like you say, we better get all our ducks in a row here before we're agreeing.
And then they plan to leave it up, and anyone who goes down there could use it, because they aren't gonna have someone from the organization always there, so.
Bikers.
Yeah,
How does that affect us then?
Well, the liability coverage is the same.
Same.
I mean, are you leasing this to Trailtwisters, or how are they acquiring that right of way? And how are they acquiring authority to put the box on those abutments?
that's maybe that's what needs to be in this outlined in this agreement, as well as the
Because
indemnification.
the other trails, that's on just a lease agreement with the landowners. And then they have to provide the liability insurance for that.
You always had a bridge right above where this abutment is going across, and that was on the counties. Counties trying to do that.
That might have been up out of the right
Away.
might have been.
You mean the temporary ones they put across each year? That's pretty close. It's hard to say where the right of way line is there.
The other question I would have is, if the organization dissolves at some point in time, who's responsible for the removal of the structure? We'd have to put it up the.
That would have
Put
to be
that
in there.
We put it in there. They gotta take it down if the Snowmobile Club dissolves, and they're responsible for.
Or if you had a huge flood or something and it did get that high and wash it away, you don't want that lodged into the creek there and no one.
Yeah, no, they got
responsible for cleanup.
Well, you know, that's what he always has to go down. Maintenance and.
Yeah.
But it's pretty hard for that one with they're setting poles up there on top to stop it. That whole bridge and everything else that'd be a huge.
Your flood, your.
More than that.
So-
What other areas of our county are trails or snowmobiles and UTVs on county land?
Not sure that we have any. We have the roads, which are by statute now.
Yeah.
And that's what.
I don't know if we have any that, outside of, I see some signs in right of way occasionally. Adjoining some of the bike and hiking trails, I think there's some there. between Calmer and Ridgeway, is that used by snowmobiles at all? Do you guys know?
I think it is.
Yeah, the one between
Yeah.
Crestville and Ridgeway.
Great.
Farmer.
That's used by snowmobiles.
Yeah,
Or-
Howard County. Howard County.
Just in Howard County, yeah.
Yep.
But snowmobiles, the club has trails in the road ditches alongside the
Yeah.
Centennial Road and
Yeah,
places
they go-
like that.
It's all either on the, well, in road ditches, or
This one I think is enough. I mean, you're allowing them to put in to build a bridge essentially on county property. This, I think, merits a formal
No, I agree.
agreement of some sort, which is different than I think we probably have anywhere else where right of way is being used.
I've requested that we have an engineer sign off on that structure. None of us have engineering degrees or the know-how to do that correctly. So I think this needs engineer approval.
Sounds pretty well thought out to me, but
yeah. Do we need an engineer's approval?
Not a permanent structure.
No.
I think we're opening ourselves up to a big
If
issue.
you have an engineer coming in, is it worth having to take a look at it? I mean, do you want to,
Yeah.
do you want to move forward to something where you do have somebody on board who could tell you, yeah, this will work for a long time? I mean, it's to your benefit and it's to Trailtwisters, I would think
Yep.
that they know it's going to.
and that might be as simple as him looking at what the project they want to do and just simply saying, oh, how about if you just do this, like, it may work better. So, I don't know.
I mean, my question would be, why not?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. The next thing we have up is the interim engineer contract. You changed a couple things on that.
Ben and Julie talked and we felt it would work better if we employed the interim engineer rather than we reimbursed Howard County. So those were the changes I put together and sent out to you over the weekend.
So we need a motion to accept the new contract.
I would move to approve the contract with the engineer out of Howard County as an employee with Winneshiek County. Is that how you want the motion to read?
Interim engineer. I would second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept the revised contract for interim county engineer. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'll have you stop by, Dan, and sign, because they're doing it this morning too, so then we'll have all the signatures on one
Okay,
copy. So sometime later this week, we'll have you sign it, but it will be in force after both boards act.
Nick didn't ask me to remind you, but he reminded me, and I thought I'd remind you that his serving as interim engineer does not get us project approval or project bidding. Just keep that in mind.
mhm.
It's a Band-Aid at this point.
Let's see, next up, we have the RFQ for engineer search consultants.
I think I sent that out to you a week or so ago. Ben had asked me to put something together. There was discussion here about looking for a search firm, trying to get somebody on board to help with the search for an engineer. So that's what I put together.
There were a couple, I don't have my notes with me, a couple places where I had comments on the wording. It just seemed a little awkward in the wording. I'm sure that I haven't read through this one yet, a recent round. Is this the most recent?
And I sent out one, so.
Oh, okay, then I'll look through it again and call you with the questions I had.
Some type of reference to Dubuque instead of
That's where it came
just a
from.
couple of words.
Yeah, just, if you find those, just shoot me a
Oh, shoot you an email
copy
today.
and I'll get one to you.
Do you think we'll be ready to done it by next Monday? Should I have it on the agenda?
I think we need to get this ball rolling.
On a positive note, there is talk out there in the engineering world. One of the local construction companies, the foreman is working in Des Moines, and last week he had two engineers with PEs come up and ask him about the job. So he called me and I just filled in a little bit on what it was, but there was a little bit of buzz out there anyway, so on a positive note.
Before I forget, Ben had asked or sent an email wondering, how to promote this RFQ if that's the route that you go. And I don't have an answer for you, but I did see on the DOT website that they will post RFPs and they will do them for counties. Now, this is a little bit outside the scope of what those normally are, but it may be worth.
And they did post the opening when we advertised it the first time, so maybe they would post this for us too.
I think these companies might monitor that type of thing. Anything else?
Comes to mind.
Couple other things that have been brought up at previous meetings that I just don't want to fall through the cracks is there were those couple of lots in Spillville down by the river. Do we want to go any further with that, or do we just leave them the way they are? Or did you want to see about getting bids to sell those, or what was the plan?
I think you ought to get rid of them. Same thing.
Yeah, they're landlocked in there, they ain't no
Yeah.
good, they ain't no good to the county.
There's interest from adjacent property owners.
There's at least two property owners interested.
And so I think even a third, so it'd be good to just get that behind us.
Clean them up and.
Yeah, I think you sent me the information. I can put that together sometime for you.
And then the other thing I was gonna ask is, have you done anything more, or are we doing anything more with the hiring an HR firm versus the Bureau office, and do you want to?
I've had some discussions, Stephen, Shirley and I met and talked about that, and I think we'll have a better idea on where that's going in a couple of weeks. Anything else?
Like on hiring another engineer. Do we wait till we hear from her? Can we put the ad out there again and see what we do get a second time, or should we wait till we get the?
Firm?
Or,
I mean, you could do advertise again without getting a firm and see if there's more interest than the first time,
but
but
we're trying to find a firm, I mean, maybe there, I mean, I don't know. It's just,
I don't know the outfit thing. I mean, that firm's gonna come in and probably market it differently than what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, with just the advertising, by the same token, if the advertising reaches the people and that.
I mean, if there's interest out there and we get applications, I mean, if we ain't out nothing,
You also probably should be setting up your timelines anyway for what your expectations are.
yeah.
So if we would set a timeline to end just before we're possibly gonna hire a firm, we would know if there has been any more interest in the job.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we ain't out nothing.
if we do have some applicants that will fill the vacancy, then we won't have the need to hire a firm.
Yeah, if it's gonna be a couple of weeks before you know about your other staff member and how that fits, we might as well get an ad out there and take a look, see what
I
we
mean,
need
yeah,
response.
see, put it out there again and see what we get. And
Can we put it online this time with LinkedIn and Indeed, monster.com?
I'm guessing your search firm is gonna use those.
They're gonna use that thing of that.
Why
nature.
wouldn't we?
should have
So we
that
could use
state.
I would say put it out there and see what.
The other thing that will attract are some of your search firms. If you have it out online that way, I think you will probably see some headhunters coming and saying, we have these people for you.
I think it'll be worth.
Maybe do that way, I mean, get the ball rolling faster so we get.
Well, and that's how that goes, and engineers are kind of a close knit bunch too amongst those in the state, and when they hear that they possibly already have somebody in-house that's gonna fill that spot, why would you waste your time applying?
They're gonna
Well,
risk it.
we all know
Now
there's more
that
to it.
that's not the case.
Let's set a deadline, open it up again, set a deadline for our own search right now while we're waiting for the RFP. Set that deadline today, but get it online too.
We need a motion for this. Well, let's get it.
Yeah,
I have one logistic question. Who's, I know nothing about putting it on my company if you choose. So
We have an IT department. I'd be happy to help them with that, but I'm sure they know how to do it too.
We're the 14, go.
You create an account, upload your information, and it puts it out on those sites.
Get that out and be due the 25th or the 1st? 2 or 3 weeks.
This is pretty, I think we need to give it at least 4 weeks. By the time we get the ad up and out there again, I think we need at least 4 weeks. My opinion, but
but you don't want to wait to get a consultant.
No,
Disagree.
no.
So if you have it,
August
I'd say
31st,
3 weeks.
it's fine.
August
Figure it out this
31st,
week.
end of the month.
Or do Friday.
Friday the first.
Of September.
So open the engineer application period again. Till,
4 o'clock, September 1st.
okay, last time we did it on a Wednesday
Maybe,
or Thursday so that I could get them to you.
maybe do it Thursday then.
Yeah,
31st
31st, August 31st.
for the meeting on the 5th. No,
And I'll send it to the same place that I did before. And so, you have to, I guess you guys have to decide if you want to use the online ones, and I think we should have Shirley coordinate with IT, or I can coordinate with IT, but
I think if Shirley wants to coordinate with them, that's great. I know we did have one person who was watching, who said they're on a site that just does engineers. There's like 20,000 options out there, so.
I think you should be the central point command on that, Ben, and Shirley wants to contribute, that's perfectly fine, or anybody else on the board that wants to, but I think it ought to be one central place, not two people putting it out differently. If you coordinate.
okay, so are we using all three of those that she named, and what were they called again?
Indeed, monster.com and LinkedIn. And if there's one specific to engineer positions, we'll look at that one too.
Keeping it the same as what we sent out last time, or is there any adjustments anybody wants to do wage wise or anything?
You say, simple.
Okay.
Does it say in there, I don't remember, and I don't have it in front of me, does it say anything about, ability to gain Iowa license within the first 6 to 8 weeks of employment?
I don't think it does.
I think we should probably add that if we're expanding the search. Because if you get somebody from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, they need to get their Iowa license. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks. If we have the, Nick Chrisman on board as an interim, that person we hire works with them. We can check with the DOT, but she said that in that situation, they would be more lenient.
And they did say that if we had someone hired and what wasn't in place because of that reason, that they would still let us do the
Bidding process.
So I think that's a good suggestion, that we put that in.
So I'll work-
Change when they have to get it to you.
So should we have a motion?
I think Shirley made the motion, right?
I was second, but the motion that Shirley made.
The motion is to extend. Well, not to extend, to reopen the county engineer position to August 31st, deadline at 4 o'clock PM. And will be advertised on those three, plus what we advertised it on the first go around. Is there any further discussion?
Those three plus the one that's specifically for engineers.
Specific.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay. Anything else for Andy?
Stay with his questions about the 2080.
Sure.
What's that?
There's,
Just about the 2080.
Oh, okay.
Mark sent me the revised 2080 for CSS. I looked it over. I didn't say anything that wasn't concerning. There wasn't, quite frankly, there weren't very many substantial changes to it, if any. So. But, man,
Okay. Good. Well, next we'll go on to the 1030 miscellaneous, 28E for CSS.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was at the meeting and we just have to resubmit just a few minor changes to the 2080 agreements to counties, so. Andy looked at it, said it looked fine, so I would make a motion that we accept it as is. You agree with that? We agree with county social services.
I made motion.
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the 28 to accept the 28E for CSS. Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Steve did.
Thank you. I was filling out all these blanks in the 2080.
It's their, yeah, county social services is operating when, with the organization, they lost a position, and so it's kind of, there's been this whole reorganization of staffing and every meeting, it seems like they come back, and I think I talked about this before, oh, because they've had these jobs, they would want this pay and whatever. So I convinced, said, you guys need to have somebody reevaluate what people are doing and get it in place, because you can't just keep coming back every meeting and say, can we adjust this salary or that? And I said, if you have a structure in place, you can look at it and say, this is what it is. So one of the last meetings, it was a little, and that somebody had gone part-time, and then a year and a half later, we changed part-time rules, and well, could they still get their sick leave back? And it was like, that was like the indication, we need to have a little more structure to them.
Yeah. I can't hurt.
So they actually come up with Ben, who gave them the list of this consultants we use, Connery and others. Keep you apprised of that.
I'm just didn't say it, then that would do it. I don't think I have that. All right, does anyone have anything else?
So we'll have on the agenda next week, the Horn Hollow. Set a public hearing.
I'll put it on there if we have the
Paperwork done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there were some emails about that, and you probably saw that they were wondering if there's a way to, and Andy didn't think there was, but he was gonna research it further. If there's a way to, rather than vacate your right of way, to sell that as an easement, is what the one landowner is proposing. So,
Portion past the road, is that what you mean?
Mhm.
The portion past the road.
I think they want
The whole
the old road, at least between this, to the old homestead. All that other old part, I don't think anyone is interested in, we just need to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But that first part, that they would want to maintain it as a walking path or whatever for their use, so they're wondering if you're willing to sell it. And so that was what Andy, we should have asked Andy, I guess, if he probably hasn't done more research on that yet. So all those emails were flying. out
Yeah, this
over the
weekend. Yeah, I don't think he's had time to address that yet.
So next week, we're dealing with that section of Horn Hollow to the turnaround and
Mhm.
and cleaning that piece up. And then the second part would be the other part,
The vacating.
the vacating. Yeah.
Well, if no one has anything else, I,
Motion to adjourn.
there we go.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.